Hey everyone, it's Angela Allen. Welcome back to Handmade Homestead and Garden. Well, it is a hot, very humid day here in coastal Rhode Island. And Mike is out running errands, Ben is off to work, and I have just enough time in my busy day to do a batch of preserving. I've got a whole bunch of shishito peppers. Some I just picked, some I already have prepped, and we are going to just do a quick little ferment, quick little video. I have something really big going on in my life, and I'm going to talk about that in another video, so stay tuned. But in the meantime, let's get these in some brine and get that done. And this is something all of you can do with almost any vegetable you have enough of in your kitchen. So let's go. Now, fermenting is something that you can all do with almost any vegetable that you have. It doesn't matter if it's high acid, if it's low acid, because all a ferment is a little bit of salt and a little bit of water to encourage the lactate acid producing bacteria to grow faster and in more abundance than the negative bacteria. Therefore, it crowds it out, makes that food safe. So a little salt, a little water, into a clean jar, 4 days to 40 days, whatever you want to do. As far as fermenting them goes, it's totally up to you. It just will influence the flavor of the ferment. The longer you leave it, the more sour it will be. So it's super easy to do. It's very accessible to everyone, and you can use any kind of vessel as long as you can put a lid on it loosely to keep air out, but not so hard that it prevents gases from escaping the jar. So you can use a fermenting lid, one of the one-way valve lids, or you can just use a weight just to keep whatever you choose for vegetables underneath the brine to keep them from getting moldy or to keep them from having bacteria or from them rotting. So super easy to do. Let's get this handful of peppers processed. All we have to do is wash them, really just a really good quick rinse to make sure there's no dirt on them. And then we are going to just snap off the top stem piece. You don't have to remove this piece. It's completely edible. If you want, you can leave the stem piece on. Looks a little prettier on a charcuterie tray. If you've got them like this with the stem on, this is a ripe one and an unripe one. Totally up to you. I snap them off just because we just want to pull them out and eat them. So all right, let's get them washed. We're gonna measure out our brine first. I'm gonna show you how to do that. Super easy, no brainer. You don't need a scale, just a tablespoon and a quart jar and some clean, preferably filtered water. So measuring the brine is the easy part. I'm just gonna fill this quart jar up full of water. Okay, 1 quart of cold water. Now we do have a water filter here and a cooler. So I just took it out of the cooler. That's why it looks cool. A quart of water is to the neckline, right to just to the top of the shoulders. There's no need to fill it to the tippy top. We're just doing this for measurement purposes. I'm going to dump this out of here in just a second. So this is just kosher salt. Please don't use iodized salt. You can use 1 to 2 tablespoons of salt. I like them a little bit salty. I'm gonna just do like maybe 1.5 tablespoons in this quart of water. Now to dissolve this, there's no need to heat this water up. Salt will dissolve quickly. I'm just gonna put the lid on and I'm gonna shake it. And you can see when this water, see it's cloudy right now? When this water goes back to clear, we'll know that that salt is dissolved. I just want to make sure I get it all kind of mixed into the water. Now I have my brine solution, and I can tell you that this much solution will probably do 2 quarts of peppers. I only intend to do 1, but I want to get the ratio right, so I'm willing to do that. You could divide that up, you know, 1/2 tablespoon, 2 cups of water if you wish. But I'm going to pour this out so I can pack my peppers into it. So I'm just going to pour it into a clean measuring cup. Now these are shishito peppers. They're already just these really beautiful peppers. I've gone through them. I've made sure that they are all really nice, fresh peppers. They have a nice crunch to them. They're clean, the tops are taken off, and I've made sure there's no peppers that are spoiled or have spoiled or blemished areas on them. So, but that's something you definitely want to do. This looks a little off because you can see the pepper seeds are already turning a little bit brown. They're oxidized, but because there's a little brown right there too, not going to use that pepper. You only want the best quality vegetables when you ferment. So let's pack our jar. First, I'm just going to stick my dill seeds in there. Those dill heads, just like they are, they came right off the plant. And the other thing I'm going to add, just because I think it tastes good in peppers, is just a few little peppercorns. You see? I'm just going to add just a few in there. That'll do it. Give it a little bit more of a flavorful punch. And this is a ferment. I don't have to pack them down. I want the brine to be able to circulate around them. And I want to put enough in there to fill my jar. Give them a little bit of a push, but I'm not too worried about packing them in there too tightly. They are going to get softer as they ferment. I will tell you that these are so good, you guys, in salads, especially on deli sandwiches, like a good Italian sub. Oh, they are so good that way. And this jar lasts a long time. Once these ferment on the countertop, I'm going to leave them for at least a week. We have very hot weather right now, so I think they'll ferment quickly. But once that happens, they'll go straight into the fridge. The fridge will stop the fermentation, and then they'll be able to be stored in the refrigerator for probably up to a year. Not that they'll last that long. This is a great way to use up peppers or really anything. You can ferment celery, Swiss chard stems, carrots, green beans, cucumbers, any kind of vegetable that you have in excess that you don't want to can to put on your shelves, that you don't or can't freeze and maintain good flavor or texture. This is definitely the idea for you. Now I have a few extra there, and I'm thinking I could do another quick smaller jar because I am going to have enough brine for that. So let's just add this in here too. I'm going to pause and run outside so I can just grab another head of dill to flavor these as well. I'll be right back. Okay, so I got my 2 more little dill sprigs. We're going to tuck those right in there. I'm thinking I want to take a couple peppers out of here because I need to put a weight in. Now these are little glass fermentation weights. They make nice paperweights too. But they're pretty durable, and they are weighted enough to keep the food under the brine. Any food or herbs that come up above the brine, you risk them molding, so you want to keep everything below it, and that's what this does. If you don't have this, you can use something like a baggie with a little bit of water in it, and then you can put that in the lid and just push it down. So we're going to use the fermentation lid because there's something that I have specifically for this reason. So we're going to do that. I do want to grab a couple little peppercorns to put in here and peppers. And I like that little bit of extra. You could put garlic in here if you use garlic that way. I don't, so I'm not going to put it in, but that's okay. For my family, that's what works. But absolutely, if your family loves garlic, don't be afraid to add a few extra herbs or spices. It doesn't matter because the fermentation is going to ferment that stuff too. You just don't want to dilute the brine with liquids, but you can certainly add other things. I'm just looking for smaller peppers that can kind of fill the gap because I need this fermentation weight to be below the level of the lid to put my lid on. All right, so that is as full as those 2 jars are going to get. My fermentation weight is in. I am just going to put my brine in. And as you can see, the brine, it looks a little cloudy because it's cold, but if I wipe it off, you can see it has cleared up. There's a couple of salt crystals in the bottom I can see, so I'm actually going to stir that with a spoon, and I'll show you. See how there's just a little bit, very little in the bottom. If I stir that for just a minute, that will make sure it's diluted into the water. And again, you use 1 to 2 tablespoons per quart of water. It's up to you. I would use, I always err on the side of more salt than on the side of less. You guys can probably see dishes in my sink, but I promise those are clean. We have a dishwasher, but we don't use it. We wash everything by hand. It's just easier and faster. They say it uses more water, but we're so quick, we don't really need to worry about it, I don't think. All right, so I'm going to fill these up. A little tricky pouring around this fermentation weight. I want to make sure the liquid goes all the way down, so we're going to kind of center it a little bit. Otherwise, it'll go right out onto the counter. So maybe we could just hold it a little bit. Yep, I could take it out, but the weight takes up so much of the volume of the liquid. I don't want to, because I want to get my liquid all the way to the top. And I'm going to show you that on this one a little bit closer. So I don't know if you can see, the liquid is below the top of this lid. But when the lid goes on, it's going to press down. And you can see the liquid comes almost up. There's a lot of air in these little peppers because they're so thin-walled. But I'm going to put this all the way up to the very top. And yes, that means when I put the lid on, it may spill, and that's okay. It's just salt water. It's not going to be sticky. I would rather it do that than have too much space. So let me put a towel under these. All right, so it's just a matter of capping them. As I said, you could just use a piece of plastic film over the top. You could put a baggie with a little bit of water in it if you don't have the weight. Or you can put a piece of plastic film over the top. If you're going to do that, make sure you get this water all the way, the salty water, all the way to the top of the brim. You'd rather have some fall out than not have enough in there. Because these are hollow, they are going to kind of pull this liquid into the inside of them as they ferment. This is a fermentation lid. Now there are all kinds of different ones. This one is a pipette one. I like these so much. They're solid, one piece. So when you put these on and when they meet the liquid right here, that gives you that airtight seal. And as gases bubble up and through, they're able to come up and through this nipple and out, but then the nipple closes back down so air doesn't get back in. So that helps prevent mold and mildew and other bacteria from getting into your ferment. I put them on the top, I squeeze them on. They don't have to be super tight. Air is going to escape, but you can see how there's air in the top of this. I express that air out too. Do you have to do that? Probably not. But I do it anyway because I want as little air in there as possible. And I'll do that till I see some of the liquid bubble up through the top. See that? See that bubble there? I get as much out as I can. Some of it will still be there. I'm not going to get it all out, but that's okay. These jars are pretty full. And part of that is because the peppers are so firm still. I'm going to push down hard on this one, just so I can get the lid on. And that will creep back up as soon as I let go, but that's okay. As the peppers soften, as they ferment, that's going to come down a little bit more. Again, I'm going to push out some of that extra air if I can, just to have a better contact with the liquid, less chance of getting cam mold or cam yeast, or mold. If you ever ferment and you see any kind of mold on the surface, especially if it's covered, you throw the whole jar out. Don't skim off the mold and eat the rest. Throw the whole jar out. Now, if you get cam yeast, that is a very specific look. I'll try to insert a picture if I can. Cam yeast is a yeast, not a mold. It does form a thin white coating over the surface, gets kind of ripply looking. You can theoretically take off the cam yeast and still use the product, but I don't, and I'll tell you why. I don't, because cam yeast tastes awful. It gives everything a sharp, bitter kind of, I don't know, rubbery flavor, like you're chewing on a tire. I just cannot stand the smell of it, the flavor of it. If it gets on my ferment, I trash the ferment. If it's cam yeast, can you use the product? Yes. Some people will take off some of the top layer and use what's underneath. Not me. I throw the whole thing. I start over. I don't ferment food just for the health benefits and the food preservation. I do ingredients, real-time cooking, real foods, whole foods cooking, grow my food for flavor as well as nutrition, and I'm not going to eat something that to me tastes nasty. But you might not mind the flavor, or you might not notice it, but I do. So I'm not eating it, but you do you. Now, as always, ferments are messy. Absolutely put something under them, or you will be cleaning that up off your counter. And once it starts to ferment, especially if it's something like sauerkraut or some vegetables, it can really be kind of stinky. So this way you're able to take this tray out of there, rinse the outside of the bottles, rinse the tray off every day or two. It helps prevent fruit fly problems, and it helps, anything that keeps bacteria down is a really good idea. I want to show you guys these. These are mushroom basket. Oh, this one's kind of a little sad. You can see it wasn't ripe when I brought it in. These are mushroom basket tomatoes. This is my current favorite tomato. Are these not the cutest thing you ever saw? Still getting a little bit ripe, but they taste so good. My favorite used to be Paul Robeson, Midnight Snacker cherry tomatoes. Paul Robeson for big ones. Cherokee purples I've liked, but I've never been crazy for. But these mushroom basket, that's what they're called. Not only are they absolutely adorable fruit, they produced a lot of fruit. The vines were really healthy. They didn't overly vine out. I didn't end up with so many vines I could barely walk through the jungle. And those of you who know me know that I don't prune my tomatoes. I like them unpruned. But these are they're still ripening. I just brought them in yesterday, some of them. But they're just the cutest tomatoes ever. All right, I have to deal with that one. That looks like trash to me, but in the meantime, they're beautiful and they make a nice picture. Don't you think? I think they do. Well, thank you for joining me as always. Well, we did a quick little fermentation class today and made some fermented shishito peppers for us to enjoy for the next several months. If you find this kind of content helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. And there's a video coming up right here that I think you will also enjoy. And keep an eye out for that video about what's coming up next for us here at the Handmade Homestead. It's pretty interesting stuff. I think you guys will be kind of shock and awe about it, but I look forward to making that video and sharing that information with you as well. I will see you next time. Take care.